UFC Fight Night Song Yadong versus Deiveson Figueiredo just took place, and this is my reaction to one of the greatest fight nights that you will ever see, with a total of 9 finishes on the entire card, with a sick main event. Sergey Pavlovich and Xingmin Yang getting slimed out in the co-main event. What a fucking card. That is exactly what a UFC Fight Night should be. Good, not great name value, but good name value. And especially I was going into this card, I was a little bit sus about it. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm not overly anticipated, no real big names, but there's a lot of fun matchups that we can make here now after this fight has been made. And we're going to start here with the main event, Song Yadong versus Deiveson Figueiredo. I was definitely not impressed with Song at the start, because his ability to cut the cage off was so ass. I felt he was kind of just following Figueiredo around. He did very well keeping the fight on the feet. He has got amazing takedown defense. Figueiredo is a bit like he's a bit like just a stone man, to be honest with you. When he's in front of you, he doesn't really move, he doesn't really throw. He threw a few strikes in this fight, literally 9 significant strikes, but I definitely feel Song Yadong was more active. Song Yadong was definitely the better of the two, and when it got it down, he wrapped up submission that perfectly. I think there's endless possibilities for Song Yadong at the moment, but I definitely think we're in that situation now of we have Merab versus Peter Yan 3 that's going to happen. God knows when that's going to happen, but it more than likely will happen next. Sean O'Malley is going to absolutely breeze through Ayman Zahabi. That's going to make Sean O'Malley the #1 contender. And then you leave Song Yadong versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Maybe this time next year, Song Yadong might be fighting for the title. Maybe this time next year. We'll see how the landscape of the division plays out. But I feel like Song, I don't like giving Song a #1 contender fight. You know, when he lost to Sean there a couple months ago, and he beat a Deiveson Figueiredo. And listen, loads of people were like, whoa. Let's not get out Figgy, former champion, man. Bantamweight Figgy is just not the same as flyweight Figgy. You know what I mean? Deiveson Figueiredo does very well against like Rob Font and Cody Garbrandt and things like that, and Chito Vera. Didn't do well against Sanhagen, didn't do well against Yan, hasn't done well against Song Yadong. His days of beating the top echelon of the division, like the Pantojas and Morenos, were at flyweight. And that's a long time ago. So Figueiredo right now is like a solid, maybe #5 ranked fighter in the bantamweight division. But Song Yadong versus Umar is a very intriguing fight. I think it makes a lot of sense for both of them at this stage of their career. And that's a fight I kind of just would love to see next, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think Song Yadong has all the skill sets to give a lot of these guys problems. I think he has a great chance of beating Merab. Maybe Merab might win that. We'll see how Merab looks against the Peter Yan, the trilogy. If Merab go back to his best and he destroys Yan like he did in the first fight, maybe I will pick Merab to beat Song Yadong. But the problem with picking against Merab is everyone has always got a better skill set than Merab. Merab just has an insane gas tank, always tires you out, and it's hard for you to do your game plan. Peter Yan figured it out perfectly, but still, I think Song Yadong versus Umar, like I've been saying, is going to be the fight next. And like I said, I'm not necessarily mad at giving Song Yadong a #1 contender fight, considering he just lost to O'Malley, but the fact that O'Malley's fighting Zahabi, he beat Song Yadong and he's fighting all the way down the rankings now, that's just to kind of like, you know, give O'Malley a little bit more of a boost. Maybe like a KO finish against Ayman Zahabi, which I think he's going to get. If Chito Vera is dropping you with a jab, I definitely think O'Malley's going to put you out, or put your lights out, as O'Malley always says. He's going to be fighting the winner of Merab versus Yan, especially if it's Yan, okay? I feel like the UFC are really going to be pushing that. I feel like the UFC really want O'Malley versus Yan too. And then you kind of have to do Song Yadong versus Umar Nurmagomedov. I'm not mad at the fight either. With the way the landscape of the division is, I think it makes a lot of sense. Just not mad at giving, you know, Song Yadong such a big name, such a big step up compared to Figueiredo, considering he's 1-1 in his last 2. I think Umar Nurmagomedov would piece up Song Yadong and win every single round, if I'm being completely honest with you. I'm not too gone on Song Yadong striking. I think he's definitely explosive. He definitely has power. He definitely has like a nice overhand, but I feel like he's missing like a jab, really missing the implementation of leg kicks. His movement isn't exactly great. Like, he does very well with the feints, but he's not exactly bouncing up and down, trying to get cut off the cage and trying to really present his angles. One thing I noticed in the O'Malley fight, when O'Malley would kick in, Song would throw a massive overhand right, and it did actually connect a few times. So maybe something like that against Umar, who's very kind of kick heavy as well. He's extremely well rounded, Umar, so you don't know what he's going to do next. I think that could be a play for Song Yadong. I wouldn't necessarily rule him out against Umar, especially since Batista dropped Umar in their last fight. It's a good scrap. I like it. I think it would be entertaining. I would pick Umar at the moment. I think Song Yadong versus Figgy was a bit lackluster, and I was very worried going into this. I was like, oh my god, the Chinese fighters have not won one single fight, and it went horribly south on all of them. Maybe Figueiredo was able to shout, but I did pick Song Yadong to win 50-45. I did think he was just gonna, I think Figueiredo is at this stage of his career where he's kind of over, and I think Song Yadong is really on the come up now, and I feel like getting those experiences, those championship rounds against, Sanhagen, against not O'Malley because that was a 3-rounder, against Yan. I definitely think that was 2-rounder as well, actually. But getting those championship experiences against that championship level caliber, I definitely think it's playing dividends for Song Yadong. I think it's benefiting him massively, especially at this stage. He's able to take our guys to Figueiredo via submission, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I can't think of anyone that's beaten Deiveson Figueiredo via submission since Brandon Moreno beat him via rear naked choke. So very impressive from Song Yadong, very impressive. And Yan wasn't able to finish him. Impressive. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for Song. I don't ever see Song Yadong getting a belt. He's still 28 years old. He's so young, but I just think he's lacking that little bit of striking, that little bit of combinations, the kicks, ability to get you down, I think is there. I feel like he showed that against O'Malley. O'Malley was able to get up though in the second round and stuff like that, but still, I think Song has very good wrestling. I just don't think he has the striking to give you something to worry about everywhere. When you're fighting someone like O'Malley, you're a little bit more comfortable on the feet than usual. You know he's going to go in there and shoot. You know that's what his game plan is. But Song was landing those overhand rights, so he definitely has a skill set, but I definitely think his striking is going to be the dividends. I don't think that's going to be in his favor, and I think Umar is going to capitalize on that, considering Umar has such good movement, such good kicks, nice jabs, right hands, and he can implement the wrestling. I'd be going Umar in that fight. I really would. Even though Song looked good in this fight, it was a good main event. Alonzo Menifield versus Zhang Min Yang. Wow, I did not expect that. Pure fucking Street Fighter shit from both of these guys. I thought, I genuinely thought Zhang Min Yang was going to win this fight. I thought he was going to be a little bit too sharp on the feet. I thought Alonzo Menifield just gets rocked in every single fight. He's not reliable. He's not great. And then they both just like Street Fighters. Just went in there, started swinging. Some nice overhands were landed. And then he just cracked Xing Man Yang and went down. And fuck. Light heavyweight is in a weird position. I don't think, maybe, Alonzo Menifield versus Dominic Reyes might be a cool fight. Or maybe a Johnny Walker or something like that. That could be kind of like a fun-ish kind of fight. But Xing Min Yang really fell off a cliff. And I really feel like he was the market there for China to really bring in a lot of eyeballs with Song Yadong. And he would have been a light heavyweight fighter. He would have been a kind of like, how like Tom Aspinall gets so much hype because he's a heavyweight. I feel like not many Chinese fighters are really pushing the ranks of the heavier weight classes and really making a name there. I feel like that was a market that UFC were trying to push, putting Xing Min Yang as a main event against Johnny Walker and things like that. But yeah, I don't think he looked great in this fight at all. But I also kind of think this is one of those fights where all the game plans just go out the window and both of these guys are just completely swinging for the fences, and whoever lands. And Alonzo Menifield was able to land in this fight. He did look, I don't think anyone looked massively great in this scrap. I just think it was a case of, right, I'm putting you out or you're putting me out. Let's see it. Let's go. Let's just fucking go with the flow here. Damn, Zhang Min Yang fell off a cliff. But you know who didn't? Sergey Pavlovich. First round KO over Deiveson Figueiredo. And I said this in my preview. Just because you lose to Volkov and Tom Aspinall doesn't mean you're not a good heavyweight. Does not mean you're not a good... Would he beat Gan? No. I don't think Sergey Pavlovich ever would beat Gan. And I said that the whole time. Gan's movement's way too good. Pavlovich is way too plotty. Relies on you to not have great head movement, and as soon as you can keep range and have kicks, he's in trouble. Volkov showed that. Aspinall showed he can't do well with speed, but Tom's speed is absolutely absurdly normal. Don't really understand what anyone was doing betting on Deiveson Figueiredo in this fight. He beat Tai Tuivasa and Justin Tafa, or Junior Tafa. I genuinely had no idea what anybody was watching picking Deiveson Figueiredo in this fight. How the fuck are you betting against Sergey Pavlovich in this fight? I was just like, just because you lose to Aspinall and Volkov doesn't mean you're bad. Like, at all. But some people just look at, oh, this guy got shinned. No, that's not how it works. You get knocked out because you're a heavyweight. Losing to Tom is not bad. But Sergey Pavlovich, Looked pretty good. You know, did what he needs to do. First round TKO. Last one was against Curtis No Movement Blades. Job done. And maybe him, you know, when you're piecing up Aldo Cortez Acosta as well, like, that's a fucking good win. You know what I mean? Especially, I know Volkov had a close fight with him down. Volkov was one step ahead, schooled him, and embarrassed him. I don't like Waldo Cortez Acosta at all. When I was in Qatar watching his fight live, I was just like, I hope he got fucking sparked. But Sergey Pavlovich beating everyone bar the top three. I think he's the fourth best heavyweight in the world at the moment. I just don't think he's getting through Volkov, Gan, and Tom. And I think he beats everybody else. I think he would smack up Josh Hockett. I think, you know, he beat a lot of these good guys already, like Curtis Blades. And maybe Josh Hockett's going to be next. If Josh Hockett beats Derek Lewis, I don't know. I feel like Derek Lewis is so wank. But someone like Josh Hockett could get caught. A wild headless chicken that runs into a massive right hand, trying to be like a fucking Superman. He comes in with like a left hand like this, and then he just charges in like that, gets sparked out by Derek Lewis. Maybe something like that would happen abnormally, but Sergey Pavlovich beats all these guys in my opinion, apart from the three I mentioned. I'm just going to have to see how this plays out. I definitely think Josh Hockett's going to be next if he beats him. Like, who else are you named? Briznak Kuniev or something like that? Like, Sergey Pavlovich and Sergey Spivak might go at it. Not really interested in seeing that. I don't think Sergey Spivak's good at all. I'm not interested in seeing that. But I feel like Pavlovich was such a safe bet in this fight. And good to see him get a KO. People forget, man. 3 years ago, Pavlovich was the man. When he knocked out Blades the way he did, we were all like, holy shit, this guy's fucking good. Like, this scary monster knocking out everybody a heavyweight. Tom comes in there, gangster, Silgan didn't do that. And just, you know, fucking big fucking low kick, big fucking right hand, big meaty right hand to get fucking Pavlovich out of there. Good performance from Pavlovich. Good to see him back in the win column. Kaya Sakura versus Cameron Smotherman. Please, I beg, don't say it. Just don't say it. He beat Cameron Smotherman. Don't say the Kaya Sakura title run starts now. Don't say it. He's in a very fucking hard division. He's in the division with the likes of Sanhagen, Yan, O'Malley, Marab. Bantamweight is the most skillful division in the UFC, without a shadow of a doubt. Don't say because he beat Cameron Smotherman, who looked like Patchy Mix in there with that fucking terrible movement, is going to beat Kaya Sakura. I just don't believe it. Very good performance here from Kaya Sakura. Not much to take from it, if we're just being real. Cameron Smotherman, not exactly going to be a ranked fighter anytime soon. Watched him on the Contender Series. Watched him get back into the UFC. Kaya Sakura's crafty. Kaya Sakura's got good skills. Kaya Sakura's got good speed. But wasn't exactly like, oh shit, Kaya Sakura is definitely going to get a fucking massive title run off this fight. I definitely think this was a step in the right direction. I definitely think there's hope for Kaya Sakura. But if you take even a look at some of the lower ranked bantamweights, like, I don't think he beats Barcelos. I don't think he's going to beat Raul Rosas Jr. Maybe he might beat like Chito or someone like that. But I don't think he's going to beat Barcelos or anything like that. Maybe him versus Vinicius Oliveira could be a good fight. But I definitely think he needs to fight a few unranked guys before we get him lobbed into that, you know, pool of killers in bantamweight. So anyone, you know, you can say Kaya Sakura look good, you can say Kaya Sakura look sharp, you know, that's fine, no problem with that, but, you know, relax, just relax a little bit, okay? Just maybe another fight or two. Jake Matthews, damn, looked good. Jake Matthews looked way more output. Not the most entertaining fight. He did get a knockdown in there. The Jake Matthews title run will never start now. Unfortunately, I wasn't high on Jake Matthews, but I definitely thought he had potential with the striking. Just picked up some bad losses along the way. Pretty good win this. You know, Gordon Carlson Harris is anything special, but I definitely think, listen, getting a nice win, getting a knockdown, definitely outpacing your opponent, outboxing him pretty much every angle, stuffing all the takedowns. Definitely think this was a good win for Jake Matthews. All in all, boys, let me just adjust this so we can have a look at the prelims and discuss this as well. All in all, I was actually extremely happy with this card. Not just because Jake Matthews won or anything like that, but still, look, first round TKO, you know, decision, second round TKO, third round submission, another decision, first round, unbelievable card we were in store for. The UFC really cooked with this one, and it's always the one that just don't have the incredible name value, or don't have these massive stars at the top of it. They're always the ones that do extremely well. What do we think? What do we think about this down below? Why are these the ones that always cook, boys? Let me know down below. Thank you all for watching. The road to 5K has begun. New videos are popping up on the screen. Lego.